Hi, I'm Michael Klim. I'm an Olympic swimmer and the co-founder of Milk & Co. Look, as a kid when you're growing up, you sort of follow the things that you're good at. And as a kid, I was always pretty good at swimming and, I was better at swimming than anything else. And I always followed swimming and pursued it as I wouldn't say it, more as recreation. And I didn't really know that I was had the talent to go to the Olympic level until I was probably maybe 12 or 13 when some of the senior coaches were taking note of some of my times and I guess of what I was doing at the junior ranks. But I always loved the competitive aspect of sport and I had a pretty good sense of purpose from a very early age. And my first Olympic experience or memory of Seoul in 1988 of seeing Duncan Armstrong win. That was kind of my first vivid Olympic sort of image that I've had in my head, and that was something that I've used in the past. And I thought, I'd like to go to something of that magnitude. And but you just never know. There are so many youngsters along the way that get to the age of 14, 15, 16 and drop out. So. So I didn't really know. I knew I wanted to go to the Olympics at some point, but I never really knew. Look, I think, people talk about hard work with sport or anything else, but I think, it's hard work. If you want to achieve great things or if you want to achieve results, you need to put in the hard work. So it doesn't matter if it's swimming or if it's rowing or if you're an accountant or whatever else. So. And people always talk about sport with sacrifice, and it's not really a sacrifice. It's our choice to pursue these goals. And so look, it's certainly a lot of hard work, but I think it's a great lifestyle. I think it was as a youngster, I was in my late teens, early 20s, growing up, traveling the world, racing some of the best athletes in the world. It was a great experience. So that was motivation in itself. But then I had the opportunity to be the best in the world, to compete at the Olympics for my own country. And if that's not motivating enough for you to put in hard work and some of the perseverance, etc., then I think you have to look hard at yourself. But I think it's, I enjoyed it. It can be, once you set yourself goals along the way, which is a really, I think, crucial part of the process of having goals, intermediate goals and long-term goals, that hard work is just part of the process. Look, I think putting pressure on yourself it's a key ingredient to success. I wouldn't always use the word pressure, but I think I think you have to set your sights pretty high. And as I always, when I was swimming competitively, I tried to have my goal slightly higher than what the public's expectations or the media expectations were. So, so there's always pressure and distractions. And as long as I think, it comes down to focus and concentrating on what you're doing and throughout, for example, a preparation to a major competition, we're so analytical and you're focusing on each day at a time that, some of these external pressures, you're aware that they're there, but you've got a job to do. So you always come back to what is important, which is the hard work we spoke about. I think something that has been most satisfying for me is winning Olympic gold on home soil in Sydney in 2000. And I think that win in the relay for me illustrates not only just the hard work that it took me personally to get there, but also as a team collectively. We're all trained in different cities and we all had, I think, we set that ourselves this target or goal to be competitive in that relay. We only wanted to be competitive about 7 or 8 years prior to that. But along the way, when we got closer, we knew we had, I guess, the talent or the cattle, as you call it, to be competitive. And that was really satisfying. And to be, standing behind lane 5 and screaming your head off as Thorpe was coming towards the wall and out touching the Americans to beat them for the first time ever. It's one of those scripts where, you set yourself a goal and a lot of things align themselves up, and to finally come up with a result was really satisfying. Look, I think that it's a really good question, because that transition from competitive sport to whatever it might be, to life after sport can be tricky. And, I struggled, and I think a lot of other people struggle too. And it's about your identity. People still to this day, even walking down the street here, people say, oh, there's that swimmer guy. So you have to find, I think it comes down to finding it's something else that you've got a passion in, and that's something where your beliefs are. And as athletes, we're very lucky that we do have some traits that are, useful for a lot of things. We obviously have determination and perseverance and have talent, etc. So when it comes to putting your mind to something else, most athletes do succeed in other areas. But it's making that transition successfully is important. Look, when I was sort of getting close, I think the key in my transition was that I started preparing a long time prior to retirement. I didn't sort of finish swimming and say, okay, let's move on with the second phase of my life, so to speak. I was very lucky to have a father that was quite business orientated and helped me with some of my investments and some of my financial area. Had a good management team. But so you really have to start planning for life after sport while you're still swimming. Or for me, it was swimming. But when I did retire, I already had milk up and going. I had some property investments. I had a swim school. So there isn't that black hole of what am I going to do tomorrow? And that's where people fall into a trap, where they wake up and they're waiting for that phone call to do either a corporate talk or whatever. So I think, you got to hit the ground running. And that was the key to my transition being successful, having a plan, but also having good people around you. I got married and I had some positive distractions. Look, I've learned that through sport, I think there are some skills that I learned through sport where it comes down to really what I've learned comes down to people and communication. And some of my attributes of that relay, for example, in Sydney, is a great example of what you can achieve when you get collectively a group of people together that have same values, same initiative, and I guess I think it's that relentless pursuit of achieving something. And I had a vision to create my own lifestyle brand, and building a team around me that that are people that are, I must say, a lot smarter than I am. But it's all about a team. So that was probably my biggest something that I took out of the sport of having a great team and people that are on the same level as you. Yeah, there has been, and I must say, when you start your own business, I think it's one of the big lessons is to really ask a lot of questions, as many questions as you can, because there's a lot of people that have made mistakes and have learned from them, and you don't want to sort of learn the hard way. So I was very lucky to speak to a gentleman by the name of Brian Hammersfeld, who used to have Moose Toys, and Natalie Bloom was his wife, who Bloom's Cosmetics. So very much into the same area that I was venturing into as a great help. Alan Miltz, who's as a financial advisor and as a lecturer in that sort of areas, helped me a bit as well. But and obviously my dad also. But I think it's I'm learning every day, and it's all about whenever I find things fascinating, how like the retail world changes on a daily basis with the inclusion of technology and even just the customer dynamics and etc. So I think there is never a cookie cutter sort of solution for anything. So it's a constant evolution for me in terms of I certainly know a lot more than what I did 5 years ago, but I'm still sort of thriving and trying to learn more about the business. I think number one would be having a crack, because I think a lot of people out there have great ideas, and there are thousands of dinner conversations when people say, I had this idea and I wish I followed through on it, and And I think, you have to have a go, which is, I think is probably what the most important too. I think I've built that team around me, which was touched on before of having people that are, on the same similar values, are just as driven as you are, are as relentless as you are to achieving that goal. I think innovation, when it came to swimming, I was try to be innovative from not only my technique and, in terms of the type of training I was doing. And in this competitive retail space that we're in, you have to innovate yourself. So it's through products or through how you communicate the brand, whatever. So I think innovation is key. And I think, for us, it's been just enjoyment, really, having fun. I think it comes down to being passionate about something, and to create that passion, you need to enjoy it. So probably those 4 things have been key. Absolutely. That's probably one of the things that we've been able to, to introduce, and it's a big part of our, our processes where we like to know how everyone else is performing. Obviously, there is limits to what access of information we have to, but even, you can walk through stores and see what people are trying to execute. So it's a big part of our business. Well, technology has been quite, it made a big change in my swimming career. I was involved with Speedo in the development of the suits when they first came on board I think in 1999. And I was the first guy to wear the full body suit, and it was still a textile material at the time. So Speedo investing a lot of money in trying to progress the sport, and I benefited from that greatly. So I was hands-on in developing products that were, now, unfortunately they're banned now, but they, resulted in close to 300 world records in swimming. So I was very pleased to be involved in that sort of process somewhat. But now technology is a big part of our business. You can, being a smaller player in our market, we have to be more innovative how we're going to communicate. And technology for us, the digital technology is probably key, and through social media, through even how we advertise, we have to be a bit more clever. So that's been a big part, and you can capture an audience, and the people that are following you actually want to follow you. So you can really be do it on a cost-effective basis. Look, it's a tricky one, because it's certainly, my personal brand is established as a swimmer, and I'm very fortunate that people have paid me the respect and listened to my story and want to listen to the product that I'd like to offer. And look, and I don't try to take that for granted, and I'm really appreciative of that opportunity. But at the end of the day, the product has to speak for itself as well. So. And look, we've learned the hard way in a few occasions where the product isn't sold and has been delisted, what have you. But most of the time, we've been able to learn from those mistakes. But I think there's certainly a fine line where I try and take the opportunity where people want to listen to the story and listen to what I've developed, and make the most of that, and not really stuff up the opportunity. I think the biggest challenges for me was understanding the financial side of a small business, and then of a growing business. I've never had sort of any education in that area, and it's very easy to get caught out with. We've been operating for close to 6 years, and we're only just finding our feet now, and just having the right sort of systems. And from a financial area, I wish I probably had a better understanding in that, where I probably could have saved myself a lot of money. But that's when, obviously I had great people around me to sort of rescue me in time. Well, for me, I think, obviously right now the priority is milk, to grow milk to a global brand. We've now just launched in China and Korea, and we're still obviously selling in the UK, and quite successfully, and also the Asian market, India as well, have been a target for us. So growing milk is a focus for me, but just I guess we partly live in Bali, so we commute between Australia and Bali. So, I've got 3 kids, so life is pretty full on. But yeah, just, making most of all the opportunities that come along. We've got a lot of exciting launches to come the next 1 or 2 years, so making most of it.